Hello, everybody. We're gonna go live today on all our platforms. Usually, I go, separately on YouTube, Facebook, and in our private group. But today, it's a special day. We have a new president, and lots of things happened today. I'm still at the office. Right now, it's almost 7:30 here in California, and so for our YouTube viewers, welcome. I'm super excited. We have a beautiful, amazing, a few months ahead. For our Facebook group members, welcome. It's been a while, but I promise I'll be here more often, every single week. And for our Facebook page members, welcome. I can see all your comments here. I've got comments from. You can see here. I can highlight a few of you. We've got Tandem from YouTube. We've got Heather from Facebook. We've got, here we go, Letty on Facebook, Giselle on YouTube. So that's pretty cool. It's the first time that I'm doing the multi-platform. So anyway, in this live stream, I'm going to kind of summarize the day a little bit. We'll talk about the U.S. Citizenship Act 2021. We'll talk about got a bunch of my notes here. We'll talk about the fact sheet that President Biden released this morning about immigration, announcing the reform and all the new changes. And we'll talk about the two executive orders that were just signed a few hours ago. And I'll cover them as well in this live stream. And of course, I'll make individual videos for each and every of these changes. So once again, I'm excited to have everybody. We've got so many of you from all the platforms are welcome to our private Facebook group members and our Facebook viewers, as well as our YouTube family. So let's start with the fact sheet. So this morning, after the president was inaugurated, the first thing that was released was a fact sheet about the plan for immigration reform. And I'll kind of summarize it for you in a few, let me see here. We'll summarize it in a few points here. So first of all, there's going to be, you see here. Okay, here we go. So first of all, there's going to be a memo coming up soon to preserve and fortify DACA. So DACA is not going to go away. And of course, there's going to be eventually a path for a green card and citizenship for DACA and for TPS. Also, it's going to be an executive order, part of this immigration reform that is going to revoke the exclusion of undocumented immigrants in the census. That's something that Trump did. And under Biden's fact sheet, it's going to be removed. There's going to be, a memo, an executive order that essentially the first one that passed tonight to end the Muslim ban, including African countries, and review all essentially the 4 proclamations that were reversed tonight. And I'm going to mention that later on in this video. We'll talk about specifically which executive orders, but that was already part of the fact sheet. And the first thing that he took action tonight was to issue those executive orders. So we are canceling the Muslim ban. That was done tonight. And there was another interesting executive order, and I'll talk about it later on in this live stream. The second thing is there was another memo that was issued tonight that will bring back prosecutorial discretion to enforcement. So, for example, Trump removed prosecutorial discretion. So essentially, people can be removed. There's no recourse for people from being deported. There's no discretion. They're not looking at any factors if they have family members here and things like that. So under Obama, we had a lot of prosecutor discretion. A lot of people were able to take advantage of that to delay the deportations and find other options. So that is coming back. And there was another executive order that was signed tonight that is bringing that back. They have a provision for deferred enforcement for Liberians, and that's going to be extended until June of 2022. And that's, again, that was also in that fact sheet that was issued today. But there was other interesting things that I summarized here, and I'm going to mention it to you right here. So let me see here. So we talked about DACA. There's going to be provisions for farm workers, special provisions for them. In the fact sheet, it was kind of general. We're not really clear exactly what it is, but we may see some more visas for them or more provisions and eventually path for legalization specifically for farm workers. We mentioned TPS. TPS and DACA are going to be able to go on a path for a green card. That's all part of the 8-year plan to eventually get them green cards and citizenship. And that was something that we already announced it in the last couple of days in videos that I've done. All this is going to be part of an 8-year framework. Now, if you have questions about anything that I'm saying, feel free to post those questions in the comments, and I'm going to try to get to as many of you as I can. But I really wanted to run through all the changes and what happened today, just to keep you guys informed. We got so many of you. I'm excited to mix our Facebook and YouTube communities. Here's a interesting provision that was in that fact sheet, and it's going to be applicable to many of you. So immigrants with approved family-sponsored petitions. So, for example, let's say you're waiting for an I-130 from a parent, or I guess even brother or sister. Again, it's not really clear exactly how it's going to work, but it was there in the fact sheet, and I guess we're going to know more. And by the way, President Biden is going to take action every day on different things, climate, healthcare and things like that. On January 29th is specifically dedicated to immigration. So we're going to see more executive orders come out on that day, in addition to what we had today. With respect to that provision that I just mentioned right now, if you file typically an I-130 for a brother or sister or parent, you have to wait several years for the petition to have your priority date current, so before that family member can immigrate. Well, under that provision, it says that immigrants with family sponsorship could join family members in the United States on a temporary basis while they wait for their green cards to become available. Can you imagine what will happen? So right now, if you have to wait 10, 12 years for your brother or sister to get your petition approved, and you can't live in the United States legally, you have to be overseas waiting. Well, under these new provisions, you'll be able to come to the United States, maybe under a special visa, we don't know yet, and wait inside the United States with your relative, with your family members. So that's going to end family separation. That's huge. I'm very excited about that. And once again, once we have more information about the provisions, hopefully on January 29th, once we have more data from the government, or once the administration will announce more. But this was in that fact sheet from today. There's going to be new protections for widows and children of Filipino Second World War veterans. That's been definitely impacted under Trump. So we're gonna see some more movement here. There was a mention about deportations and people that were removed before under the Trump administration. There may be some provisions for these people to come back, as long as they're not criminals, as long as they don't have any particular serious issues. They should be able to come back under certain provisions, and we'll see what that means. But remember, when it comes to the amnesty, when it comes to the legalization, we were not sure what is going to be the cutoff date for that. But apparently it seems that anybody that was here in the United States from January 1st, 2021 will qualify under what is going to be a proposed amnesty. And remember, and I want to mention that to everybody, the bill that was sent today to Congress, the bill that includes everything that I'm telling you right now, this is just a bill. It still has to pass the House. It still has to pass the Senate. And trust me, they're going to have a serious battle in the Senate to be able to pass this. So this is just the beginning. So we don't know if it's going to pass in the first round. Probably not. They may take a piecemeal. My projection is that they're probably going to take the DACA and the TPS provisions, tack it to under some other legislation, pass it, and start with something positive. It's easy for them to pass DACA. Everybody agrees that they should get their green cards. Everybody agrees that they should get their citizenship. And I think that's going to be the first thing that's going to pass. Another interesting provision in that is those of you that are watching and you're a DV lottery beneficiary or thinking about applying for the DV lottery, under Trump, he actually wanted to cancel the DV lottery. He wanted to finish that program altogether. Well, under this fact sheet, under Biden's proposal, not only are they going to keep the DV lottery, but they're going to increase the quota from 55,000 to 80,000. Think about it. Right now, we only have 55,000 quota for the green card lottery. They're going to increase it to 80,000 and keep the program intact. That's crazy. We are going to have some changes to the citizenship process. So there's going to be some maybe people who don't speak English. They're going to have some different benefits for that. Again, it's not clear. It was mentioned in the fact sheet, and I just wanted to mention that. So there's going to be some provisions to ease the citizenship process itself altogether. There's been some mention for employment-based green cards. We have a lot of. We had a bill that was supposed to ease the quota, the caps, just before the end of the Congress session. That didn't pass, and so under the fact sheet, there's going to be some provisions for employment-based visas as well. They're probably they're going to be raising some of the caps, increasing more of visas for employment-based as well, and hopefully there's going to be almost no cap for these visas. We'll see. I mean, again, this was just mentioned, so there's going to be hope also for a lot of people that are waiting on the employment-based categories, EB2, EB3 visas, and so we should see some changes as well. Once again, those of you that are joining right now the broadcast, I'm broadcasting right now on all our platforms. So if you're joining right now, if you're coming from Facebook, welcome. If you're coming from a private Facebook group, welcome as well. We're going to be popping in there more often right now, almost every week. And if you want to join our private Facebook group, the link is going to be in the description of this video. And of course, welcome to our YouTube viewers. I'm excited to share this amazing news with you as well. There's going to be more visa protections for victims of crime. So they're going to increase the number of U visas as well. Right now, they're limited to a certain amount. They're going to almost triple that amount. So we're looking at asylum provisions. So they're going to make asylum provisions. Trump made it very difficult for people to apply for asylum. The wait in Mexico policies and all that, they're going to be canceled. There's going to be some changes to the 1-year rule, the 1-year deadline to file for asylum. That's also going to be changed probably. Make it easier and more flexible to people that are fleeing from persecution and harm in their home countries to be able to apply for asylum. I mean, this is amazing. Like I said, this is all kind of part of a lump sum, kind of like a big bill that was introduced. And again, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort to pass this into law. But the fact that they're putting this on the table, the fact that they're putting this as part of their agenda is amazing. And it's going to help a lot of people. We have so many of our viewers that are victims of crime. We have so many viewers that are employment-based and are waiting for their green cards for years. We have family members that are stuck overseas, separated. They cannot come here because they filed for their petitions and there's no visa numbers available for them. All this is going to change. Let's see here. So we have lots of things that are happening, lots of changes. So these are the main highlights. These are the main highlights of the immigration reform bill that was introduced today, part of the fact sheet, and it's going to be submitted to the Congress as well. Remember, on January 29th, it's going to be the day where he's going to be introducing more executive bill orders specifically on immigration. There's going to be a day focused on immigration, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And of course, I'm going to update you once we know more. And again, in my prediction, I think out of all these things, the first steps that's going to happen is he's going to legalize the Dreamers and TPS. And allow them to apply for green cards and eventually with a path to citizenship before any of the other provisions that I mentioned to you right now. So what happened tonight? So tonight, we have two executive orders that passed. We have the first executive order, and let me see here. The first executive order, and you can see all these executive orders are already on the White House website. This was just announced a couple of hours ago. The first one is proclamation on ending discriminatory bans on entry to the United States. And I'm going to make separate videos. I'm going to make separate YouTube videos to explain the different executive orders, what they mean. And so it's going to be on our YouTube channel. So make sure you follow if you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos. So that proclamation essentially is going to end the Muslim ban. The Muslim ban was passed in 2017. This executive order essentially cancels 4 different bans, 4 different proclamations. Trump issued them in different times between 2017 and 2018. All these 4 proclamations are being reversed tonight with proclamation ending discriminatory bans on entry. This is the one. And of course, I'll make a video explaining that exactly what it means. So the proclamations banning the several Muslim countries. We have a list of all these countries. Many of them are countries that had nothing to do with terrorism whatsoever. We also have, the Nigeria included, and quite a few African countries as well. All this is being reversed. Now, remember, what that means is, people are asking, so how is it possible that he issued this executive order to reverse the Muslim bans and all these other bans, but yet his administration announced yesterday that they're not going to lift the Schengen ban, that Trump essentially said that he's going to lift the travel ban on Schengen countries, Ireland, and Brazil and all that. Well, remember that the Schengen ban, all that means is that the ability to enter the U.S. So Biden is saying that because of the coronavirus, because of the pandemic, because things are still, moving, badly with the pandemic, he doesn't want people to enter the U.S. for the moment, right? The Muslim ban and all these other bans, they essentially prohibit the embassy from issuing visas to people. They're saying, oh, because of the Muslim ban, because of this ban, the African ban, we're not going to issue visas. We have clients stuck in many consulates. We have clients in Kenya. We have clients in Nigeria. We have clients in many consulates. These embassies are refusing to issue visas because of these bans. So it's not a question of entering the U.S. It's a question of being able to get a visa at the passport. And then they can figure out, because the whole point with the Schengen ban is if you quarantine for 2 weeks in a different country, you can still enter the U.S., right? So that's the issue with this ban. And that's really what's going to stay in place right now under Biden. But this ban, the proclamation on ending discriminatory bans that was issued tonight, essentially tells the embassies, you guys have to issue visas because that ban is no longer in force. What more is important is that this proclamation specifically says something even more interesting. It says that people that were previously denied visas because of the ban, right? So, for example, if you try to apply for a visa in Nigeria or Kenya or in Tajikistan or any of the countries on the list, if you were denied previously visa, you are now eligible to not only expedite your case, but also may request to DOS to maybe even reopen that denial, right? That is in that proclamation, right, from tonight. So if you previously tried to apply for a visa and you were part of that ban, of that Muslim ban, as they call Muslim ban and African ban, and the consulates denied your visas, well, now not only you can go back and try to reapply, but also you can reopen your denial and force them to expedite your case based on the proclamation from tonight. And remember, in one executive order, President Biden essentially revoked 4 different bans. This is crazy. This is amazing. Let's continue with the second executive order. And again, I mean, I just feel so happy for so many people. There were essentially families were separated for years. Remember, these bans were enacted in 2017. Can you imagine how many families were separated? How many lives were torn apart because of these crazy bans? And consulates were literally not issuing visas because of that. So let's continue. So remember, if you're one of those countries, if you're part of that of the ban, you can now contact those consulates, and they are now required. They're now required to start issuing those visas. Now let's look at the second executive order on the revision of civil immigration enforcement policies. This is the second immigration executive order that was issued tonight. And so that executive order, essentially what it does, it reverses an order from January of 2017 that was issued by Trump. And that executive order is revoking revoking Obama's previous prosecutorial discretion memo, basically ordering everyone that is out of status to be deported. That's what essentially happened under Trump. Nobody had discretion to decide if this person can be deported. Can we put a stay on deportation? Can we, make it? That's going to be huge for a lot of people that are currently out of status and are being detained, issued NTAs under the Trump administration. The deportations were there essentially was no discretion as to who should be deported, as to who should be detained, and this executive order from tonight is essentially reversing that. So that's going to be opening the door for more relief in court. It's going to make our life a little bit more easier, and yeah. So once again, some big news tonight. We have a bill that was introduced to Congress announcing major immigration reform. We are, they announced a path to legalization to 8 million people that eventually will be what is called amnesty. We haven't had that in almost 40 years. This is going to be an historic next few months. And today we have the fact sheet that, as I mentioned before, those of you that are joining right now, I went through the fact sheet. I mentioned the highlights of what was announced today, some of the things that are going to change. We have green cards and legalization for DACA and TPS. We've got big changes to the green card lottery, U visas, employment-based immigration. Families are going to be able to stay in the U.S. while they wait for their immigrant visas to be processed. So many good things in the fact sheet. And remember, on January 29th, there's going to be announcements, more executive orders on immigration. There's going to be a full immigration day, January 29th. So make sure you stay tuned, and I'll make sure to make more videos around before that. I'm going to break down the different executive orders, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, so you don't miss any of our videos. And make sure you share the video with somebody that cares. People need to know about this. If you're on Facebook, make sure you share this. And if you're in our private Facebook group, and if you want to join the private Facebook group, we have a link in the description of this video. So that's it for tonight. Just wanted to give you a quick update. I'm gonna go live again. Probably in the next few days to break it down into the different segments. And I may do a general live like this one on all the platforms, or go back to our normal routine where we specifically focus on each platform. So anyway, once again, amazing day. We have a new president. It's going to be amazing, and I'm excited for this community. We have so many of you. We have hundreds of people live right now, and I thank each and every one of you for following me on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on all our platforms. We'll continue to bring amazing things for you and stay tuned. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.